Welcome to Souped Up Recipes. When you shop in an Asian market, have you seen these long oval-shaped cans? I bet you have, but most people just pass right by it because they don't know what it is and how to cook it. This is called 豆豉鲮鱼 in Chinese. It's deep-fried fish cured in oil with fermented black beans. Today, I'll give you 4 different recipes to use it. They're easy to make and delicious. Most importantly, these are real, authentic Chinese dishes that you are likely not able to order in a restaurant. So please hit the like button and let's get started. The first recipe is 豆豉鲮鱼烧茄子, which is my favorite because eggplant is super absorbent. Once it soaks up the goodness from the can, it tastes better than meat. I like to use these long, skinny Chinese eggplants because they are tender, but other kinds will also work. Cut it in half, lengthwise, then slice it diagonally into 2/3 inch thick pieces. Eggplant is a tricky vegetable. Without the correct preparation, it will taste extremely plain. The secret is to rub it with salt. The sodium will soften the flesh, making it easier to cook so you don't end up with firm and undercooked eggplant. Alright, set it aside for 15 minutes. While waiting, cut 1 red chili and 1 green chili into bite-sized pieces. If you don't eat spicy food, you can use bell peppers. Finally, mince half tablespoon of ginger and 1 tablespoon of garlic, and dice 1 scallion. Open 1 can of fried dace and take the fish out. Reserve the fermented black beans and the oil on the side. The fish bones are tender and edible, but I like to remove them. You don't have to. Break the fish meat into small pieces. By the way, when you buy this ingredient, please read the label carefully because there is another version that doesn't have the fermented black beans, which also works for this recipe, but has a different flavor. Set the fish meat aside and check back on the eggplant. The salt has drawn out some moisture. Squeeze the water out as much as possible. We don't need this liquid. You can discard it. Quickly rinse the eggplant under running water to remove the excess salt. Squeeze it again. This time, I like to intentionally flip them to let the skin side face down. I will explain why later. Preheat the wok over a medium heat stove. The fried dace is cured in oil, so you will have some excess oil in the can. Add that to the wok and leave the fermented black beans behind. Slide the eggplant into the wok. Now you know why I flipped it ahead. To let the skin be in contact with the wok bottom. That is the trick to retain the purple color. Look how beautiful that is. Pre-seasoned eggplant only needs 2 minutes of cooking over medium heat, and it will be soft and tender. Push them to the side of the wok so you have room to add the minced ginger, garlic, green and red chili, the fermented black beans from the can, and the fish meat. Stir over low heat until fragrant. Then combine everything together. We did rub the eggplant with salt, but we also rinsed it. Every brand of fried dace have different sodium level, so you have to taste it to adjust the flavor. Mine needs a small drizzle of fish sauce, just 2 teaspoons, to give the dish a little extra umami flavor. Toss in the diced scallions and mix well. This is great to serve with white rice. The fried dace gives so much distinctive fragrance and taste. The eggplant is tender and flavorful. I can eat a few bowls of rice easily. Alright, let's get to the second recipe. I'm sure a lot of you have had experience that sometimes you just suddenly felt super hungry at midnight and craved for food, especially for carbs. I'm going to show you how to use this fried dace to make a quick fried rice. assuming you already have leftover rice in the fridge. If not, you can use the same recipe but cook it with noodles. I like to pre-season the rice. Just 1 tablespoon of fish sauce to give a little extra pungent flavor, and 1 teaspoon of dark soy sauce to add a desired color. Mix until you don't see the white color. If you are using noodles, please pre-boil the noodles according to the instructions on the package, and then season them the same way. Open the can of fried dace and break the fish into small pieces. By the way, if you want to know how to make this fried dace with fermented black beans from scratch, please leave a comment below or share this video. If there is enough demand, I'll make it in the future. Crack 2 eggs and beat them well. Turn the heat to high and heat the wok until smoking hot. Add 1½ tablespoon of oil and swirl it around to cover the bottom. Pour in the beaten egg. Stir quickly, and you will be able to break it into bite-sized pieces as the egg sets. Turn off the heat. Remove the egg from the wok and set it aside. To the same wok, add the oil from the fried dace can, along with 1½ tablespoon fermented black beans, 2 tablespoons minced garlic, and the fried dace. Stir for 20 seconds or until fragrant. Add 1½ cup frozen vegetables straight from the bag without defrosting. This is optional. If you don't have vegetables, you don't need to add them. Stir everything over medium-low heat for 2 to 3 minutes or until the vegetables are cooked through. Please don't use high heat at this point because the fried dace is deep fried already and it can burn easily. Add the rice. Now you can switch the heat to high and keep stirring for 2 to 3 minutes. If you are using noodles, this is also the point to add them. When you see some of the rice grains dancing and jumping at the bottom of the wok, that is the sign that tells you your rice is fluffy and toasty. You should smell a nice rice fragrance. Now you can add the egg back into the wok. If you have any, elevate the dish with some diced scallions and toasted sesame seeds. Give them a final toss, and you are done. Again, taste the rice before serving and adjust the flavor if needed because every brand of fried dace has different saltiness. This is supposed to be an impromptu dish that you can make quickly for emergency hunger because the total preparation and cooking time is less than 10 minutes. It's really fulfilling and delicious. The third recipe is a super popular Cantonese dish, 豆豉鲮鱼炒油麦菜. Growing up in Guangdong, whenever my mom picks up this oval-shaped can in the store, immediately I know she's gonna grab some 油麦菜 next. That's how classic it is. I don't know the English name of this vegetable. If anybody knows, let me know in the comment. This is like the Chinese variant of romaine lettuce. The leaves are longer and narrower. The taste is sweet and has a subtle bitterness. If you can't find it, don't worry. Just use regular romaine lettuce as a replacement. Bring a pot of water to a boil. Add a big drizzle of oil. Toss in the 油麦菜 and blanch for 15 seconds. The oil will coat the surface of the vegetables and help to retain the vivid green color. Remove them from the water and let them drain on the side. Same as before, break the fried dace into small pieces. Place the wok over a medium heat stove and add the oil from the can. We'll use that to saute the garlic. Once fragrant, add the fermented black beans and the fried dace. Stir over medium-low heat for 1 minute or until fragrant. Toss in the lettuce. Now you have to immediately switch to high heat and stir for 1 more minute. I know it's a little confusing with the heat change. If you use low heat to cook leafy vegetables, they will produce a lot of moisture and dilute the flavor of the dish. Season it with 1 tablespoon oyster sauce, and that's it. So easy. You can serve it as a side dish. 豆豉鲮鱼 pairs well with all kinds of vegetables because it adds complex flavors and aromas, making boring greens extra delicious. The last recipe is fried fish meatballs. These are popular items that we will put into noodle soup, curry sauce, and hot pot. If you have been following my show, you probably remember that in my previous barbecue spice video, I used a package of frozen mixed seafood meatballs. That is what we are making today, but it is flavored with this fried dace. In a blender cup, add 4 cloves of garlic, 6 slices of ginger, 1 scallion, cut it into stalks, and 1/3 cup of water. Blend everything into a smooth puree. Let it go through a sieve. Combine the aromatic water with 3 tablespoons of tapioca starch and mix until there is no lump. If you don't have tapioca starch, use cornstarch. Set it aside. You will need half can of the fried dace. Add it to the blender along with 2 teaspoons fermented black beans. Blend until fine. Please forgive me, my blender is not powerful, so I must scrape it with a spatula and re-blend it multiple times. This is the best my tiny machine can do, but you should be able to do it finer, which is better. Alright, set it aside. We're going to take care of the fish. I'm using silk snapper today, but any white fish such as cod, flounder, tilapia, and sole will work fine. Use a chef's knife to slice the fish all the way from the tail to the neck. Make sure you apply pressure against the backbone so you can get as much meat as possible. Then make a cut behind the gill cover, and there you have it, a nice piece of fillet. Flip the fish and do the same thing to the other side. We need the fish meat for this recipe, so you can buy fillet only. I'm doing all this work at home because the fish meat in the supermarket was not fresh at all today. Only these whole silk snapper looked decent. I don't understand. I live in a coastal city and I can't even get fresh seafood when I want. Anyway, we need 400 gram meat, so I have to cut 2 fish for that. Remove the ribs because we don't want any bones in our meatballs. You can keep the bones for making fish broth, which is delicious for any kind of seafood soup. I'll link the recipe in the description. Oh, you still need to remove the skin. Just do a small cut at the tail, but don't cut off. Grab it with a paper towel and quickly slice it. Make sure to apply pressure against the cutting board. Once done, cut the meat into bite-sized pieces. Put it into a blender and blend this until smooth. My blender is small, so I have to do this in 2 batches. Add the ground fish into the mixing bowl. We will season it with ½ teaspoon ground white pepper, 1½ tablespoon fish sauce, 2½ teaspoon oyster sauce, and 1 egg white. Stir the meat in one direction until well combined. Pour in the aromatic starch water in batches and whisk the meat until the liquid is absorbed. Add a little bit more and continue to mix. Repeat that until all the starch water is finished. Once done, grab the meat and hit it against the mixing bowl with some force. This helps to gelatinize the meat and gives the meatballs a bouncy texture. You have to do this for 4 to 5 minutes or until your arm is sore. Heat the oil to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Grab a big batch of meat and squeeze it. It will naturally form a meatball in between your thumb and forefinger. Dip your spoon in water to prevent sticking. Then scoop the fish meat and carefully drop it into the oil. Repeat this squeeze and scoop action until all the meatballs are in the oil. You may need to fry them in 2 batches, depending on the size of your cookware. Keep the heat at medium and fry the meatballs for 4 to 5 minutes. Flip the pieces as needed to make sure they are cooked evenly. You can eat them right away as an appetizer. Just dip them in your favorite chili sauce or ketchup. You can also keep the extra in the freezer. They will stay good for up to 4 months. Later on, you can throw them into hot pot, noodle soup, or curry sauce as a quick protein topping. Alright, that is all for today. As always, the printable recipe links are in the description. Go check them out. I hope this video inspires you. Next time when you see this oval-shaped can in the Asian market, you're confident and you know what to cook. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!